So, our article today, you might be able to guess why I chose this one. It's a bit of a, it's very Australia specific because the article is about Vegemite. I didn't know this, but apparently this year is 100 years since it was kind of invented. Um, and it's one of those foods that is probably very hard to find outside of Australia still. I don't think, maybe in England, maybe they might sell it, but it's a food that's still pretty difficult to find outside of Australia and divides opinions, let's say. um, or I think, Hernan, as you put it, it might be an acquired taste. So I thought it would be interesting maybe to share a little bit with you all about this, to read a little bit about it. And I thought when we talk about it on Thursday as well, maybe we can kind of talk about other types of food like this. So a type of food which is maybe really popular and really common in your country, but people outside of the country kind of go, oh, what is this? How do you eat this? You know, do you really eat this? Because that's the kind of food Vegemite is. But let's get started. Let's read a little bit about it. Hopefully it's interesting. Okay, let's see. Oops, hang on. Forgot to add Constantine to the list here. Hi, Eduardo. And Eduardo.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Okay, let's see who our first reader is for today. Keeps choosing Artem, who hasn't connected yet. So let me try again. Okay, Constantine, would you like to start today?
Yes, thank you so much. 100 years Vegemite. Vegemite started out as a response to a wartime shortage of Marmite. It's now a symbol of Australia that's spread on the toast, added to curries and even churned into ice cream. Vegemite has inspired national pride and outrage since its invention a century ago in Melbourne. The salty spread was once so popular that it was found in 9 out of 10 Aussie homes, but its polarizing taste has landed in the disgusting food museum in Sweden too. The punchy condiment has the dark loss of a vinyl record and the intense tang of its boozy power source. Brewer's yeast generates reactions that are as strong as its flavor. American TV host Jimmy Fallon and announcer Steve Higgins comically squirmed after trying it on Fallon's late-night TV show 7 years ago, prompting Australian actor Hugh Jackman to school them on Vegemite appreciation. The common mistake is to ferociously slather on the condiment like it's Nutella. Jackman proudly demonstrated how Vegemite should be lightly smeared onto buttered toast using the crappiest bread possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a look at this part here. Questions, comments? Are there any questions in this first part here? few people in this section as well. Does everybody know who they're referring to? Okay, let's have a look at this phrase. Comically squirmed. Okay, let's look at comically first. If something is done comically, what is it? What does comically refer to? Jesting? Yeah. Comically comes from like comic. So it's something that's kind of fun or funny, usually funny. So if you do something comically, it's usually doing something in a funny way. Exactly. So what about squirmed then? If we can say that someone's squirmed, what is it? Not opposing or acting, no. Actually, funny enough, I just found a GIF of Jimmy Fallon squirming. So I can show you exactly what it looks like, even using the person they're talking about. Okay, so when we squirm, we can use it as like a physical reaction, or it can be just like an emotional reaction as well. So when you squirm, it's like you kind of feel like uncomfortable. It's like that ugh kind of feeling that you get maybe in this case when you eat something that you don't really like. But it could also be if you see something or you hear something that kind of makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. So it's kind of either that facial expression or movement or feeling just when something makes you uncomfortable and you kind of want to like shake it off a little bit or get rid of it. Does that make sense? Yeah, kind of like showing disgust, exactly. Or not just disgust, but more being uncomfortable, because we can also talk, for example, about like children squirming in their seats. You know, when children are kind of uncomfortable sitting down and they don't want to sit down anymore, and they start kind of like moving around and adjusting and, you know, sitting in different ways. We can also call that squirming, like when they don't sit still. So it's probably more about being uncomfortable than disgusted, if that makes sense. Okay. Are there any other questions in this part? For the people who just joined us as well, because I think there were a few that joined while we were reading that part. The next part that we're going to read starts from here, okay? I'll put it here in the chat so that everybody can find the right place. But before we keep reading, are there any other questions? Yes, no. Slather. Okay. What does it mean to slather something on? Has anyone heard this word before? kind of like spreading or smearing, but smear is a little bit different though, because we're using them in different ways here. Aha, Manu has it. Yes. Put something over or kind of spread something over in great quantity. So if you slather something on, it means you're putting a lot of whatever it is on. And we usually use it for things that are creamy. So, you can talk about slathering on sunscreen or slathering on moisturizer or slathering butter on your bread or peanut butter on the bread. So it's like putting like a thick layer of this cream on something. Yes, Nutella is very good to slather. Vegemite, not so much. And that's why we have smear. So if we say that slather is to put a lot of something on, what do you think smear might be? The same, but a thin layer. Exactly. So both of them about spreading something over something else, but the quantity that you're using is different. Slather, you're putting a lot of something on. Smear, it's just a really thin layer of something. Okay. So they're both talking about that same kind of action, but just the quantity of whatever it is you're putting on is different. Is that clear for everyone? Okay, great. Are there any other questions in this part? Don't be afraid to ask. Okay, crappy. This is kind of like a slang term. So the idea is it's kind of like the worst or, yeah, it's basically a term for worst. Probably though, let's see, I think I can use maybe a emoji. The other word, it's kind of like this. This is how we would use it as well. I think that message got sent. So we can also call that crap. So it's definitely a slang word, definitely something you should not use in formal or serious situations. But yeah, lesser quality probably is the better way to think about it. So, the idea is that this isn't the time to use, that fancy, expensive, really nice bread that you have. You just need like that basic white sandwich loaf, the one that lasts for 2 weeks in your kitchen that never goes bad. That kind of lesser quality or low quality bread. That's the idea. Okay. Any other questions before we keep going? Well, that's the problem. It doesn't have the mold in it because it's got so many preservatives and so many other things in it that it doesn't go moldy. That's what makes it very not so good bread because you don't know what actually it has in it that makes it last for so long. Hi, Fernando. But definitely the cheapest, most basic bread that you could think of. I'm sure you can all kind of imagine it in the supermarket. Like, like the very basic, white bread like this. I'm not sure what sailor bread is. Okay. Are there any other questions here before we keep going? Yes, no? Don't forget to let me know so I know if it's okay for us to keep going or not. Okay, let's keep going then. Let's see who is up next. Hernan, would you like to read?